because of the timer thing.
Fair enough. Hi, everybody. We won't be doing the stream clips for the foreseeable future until they decide that we're not going to give you money. And I'm so irritated by that.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with no stream clips.
Yeah, I think Valerian's probably the most happy out of all of us because the sausages is now beyond my reach.
Yeah, there is that. Although
Yay!
it's a pity we shan't be getting. This is not. Wait, how does that go? This is not jumping the shark.
This is jumping the shark, coming back, shooting in the balls, raping it, eating its flesh, consuming its soul, mounting the head on the wall, and then doing the same thing to 12 more sharks just to be safe.
Damn.
We do need to watch. I do kind of want to watch the Neverending Story sequels. 3 especially is one of the worst things ever made. It's legitimately awful.
Personally, I just never thought that the Neverending Stories were good.
Neverending Story 1 is awesome.
I just saw a few snippets as a kid. I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid and silly. I don't like this.
Which one did you watch? The first
I have no clue.
I don't think. I think that if you're getting that impression, you were seeing one of the 2 sequels.
I mean, I just never liked fantasy as a kid. I always hated it.
Or Shriek Death.
I guess that's fair, but the Neverending Story traumatized young kids by how serious it was. Like, they kill a horse in the first 20 minutes.
I mean, yeah, personally, I never actually watched one of those films to completion, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that for a while. I do want to. I am curious, but it's not like on my bucket list or anything.
Totally fair. Alrighty, so well, if Valerian wants to do later, you're preferring to do later, correct, Valerian?
Yeah, maybe a little later. Maybe by then at least I'll finish the carrots and sandwiches, and it won't be as noisy.
Sandwiches. Okay. We can. All right. And Wasia, you'd like? Did you want a couple of minutes to put the last touches? Okay. Alrighty.
I'm sorry, but you're going first.
Oh no, this is a horrible, frightening moment in the story.
Yes, indeed. Done. Do your worst.
No, don't. Don't encourage him to do that. No.
I dare tempt him.
No, don't. Please don't. I'm sorry.
Sorry, the erotica I wrote last night is private.
Oh, thank God.
Boo!
Thank God. Thank merciful, omnipotent God.
Love you too, Valerian.
Die. I mean, this is a touching moment in the story.
Man. Okay. All right, let me find the spot where I left off. Alrighty. I know where it's at. All right. So, this is the summary of what's happened so far. Basically, okay, this will be relatively short. Okay, so we'll be good. All right. So, what has happened up to this point is that the Azrith have won a preliminary victory against the Delphar, which are a group of elf-like creatures that are trying to neutralize humanity's ability to use dark magic. They have already destroyed a major island of the humans, and now they're trying to send another massive army to try and take it. In order to try and make sure that they don't lose, the Azrith, which are these spellcasters that are ensorcelled, shall we say, by a strange magical being that seems to be a little bit shady.
A credit card company.
Indeed. We have one of them has been sent back to the main city in order to try and get some reinforcements. And that's kind of where we pick up with her. Chapter 35, The Beastling. Amora materialized in the courtyard of the city of Mordra. Drith, cloak swirling around her as she walked toward the castle. Dark iron crowned helmet resting on his head. Arterazon flew out of the tower in a cloud of dark energy and landed next to her. What news? The king sounded eager. Are my children doing well? The Delphar's initial assault has been pushed back, but they're coming for the Arkmouth with even more force than before. Amora explained, we need more troops to help. Then we will send them. Arterazon waved to one of his soldiers. Make ready the Fomori. It's time to see what they can do. Fomori? Amora asked, what are they? The transformed Lintians. Arterazon seemed to begin to go off a sense of mingled anger and guilt. We've equipped and trained them. They're all going to be bloodied. He trailed off and looked around as another stream of black smoke swirled around on the tower before landing in the courtyard and materializing into Imaris. The ancient Azrith's amulet glowed as she strode toward Arterazon. I assume that we're taking the army west, she remarked. If so, we should leave one of our number to defend against possible attacks from the enemy. I agree. Arterazon glanced between Amora and Imaris. I think it should be Imaris and myself who go to defend the Darkmouth. Amora can stay here with her army of beasts and ensure that Ardrith remains in our control. Amora shook her head in protest. No, I want to help Kamul. I can kill the Dark Delphar just as well as either of you. Arterazon put his hand on Amora's shoulder. Much as I applaud your zeal, we must have a strong protector here, and you can summon armies of beasts to protect it while the rest of the army is gone. His tone was gentle, but it brooked no argument. Imaris and I will take the Fomori west, though we will leave some here as a garrison along with the Elintians. I do want to separate as many of the Fomori from the human Elintians due to some rather unsettling rumors that have arisen among the uncorrupted. What kinds of rumors? Amora asked. Some of them seem to think that the people brought from Elintius were accursed, That is a sign that they should forsake Lady Mithrakal and leave. Amaris shook her head in derision. I've rounded up a few of the fools, but if some are brave enough to speak it aloud, then there are more that are thinking it. We plugged up several bolt holes that they've been using to escape. It is possible even members of the guards are being bribed to let the escapees through. Arterazon seemed furious. How could they forsake Lady Mithrakal after all she's done for us? Fine. I'll keep things under control. Amora grimaced and glanced around the walls. Make sure my friends come home. We will, sister. Aris put her hand on Amora's shoulder. None will be lost. Less than 3 hours later, the huge army of Fomori had departed from Mordreth, leaving only the humans and a few of the less physically able Fomori behind. Not sure what else she should be doing. Amora let her mind grab onto the animals spread across the city and ended her vision to almost every area. For the first few days, she could only discover banal irrelevancies, family and trade discussions, even a couple involved in intimate relations. Amora studiously avoided those, far too private. However, some of the conversations were very interesting. Well, now that the two of them are gone, we can escape along with those who have been awakened to the lives of the false god. She heard one conversation within the mind of a mouse crawling through the walls of a tavern. She attempted to get through the walls with her small spy, or even get into the mind of something in the room, but for some reason it was impossible to see within the room itself. Narrowing her eyes, Amora continued to listen intently to the conversation. I know you have great power, Nicholas, but there are thousands of people here. But we don't know how many are loyal to the Azrith. Courage, my young friend. The second speaker had a much richer voice than his companion. There was a sense of majesty, but a warm, kind majesty. We cannot allow these people to suffer under the tyranny of Mithrakal. What tyranny? Amora looked down at herself. Amora is a healer. She helped us. She made me whole. These traitors must be dealt with. Abruptly, her attention was drawn to another area where yells were coming from the streets. Frowning, Amora stepped into the umbrella and flew to the spot where the yells were coming from. As soon as she arrived, Amora saw that a group of soldiers were surrounding a group of the Fomori that had been holding them off with crude clubs made from what looked like chair legs, or in some cases store signs. Most of them appeared to be the thinner Fomori as opposed to the bulky ones, some having more feminine features and a pronounced bust and wider hips. Clearly they weren't warriors, or at least weren't equipped. For a moment, Amora didn't know what to think until one of the Olintians raised a sword and swung at one of the Fomori. Death to the false goddesses' abominations! Traitors, Amora thought to herself out of herself as an arrow and slammed to the ground in front of the soldier attempting to kill the Fomori. Fear radiated outward from her, causing this offending soldier to quail in terror along with the others. What is the meaning of this? Amora demanded, her axe appearing in her hand. One of the screamers! One of the leader yelled, raising his sword. Rush her! Screamers. Amora tasted the word as the human soldiers charged. Where did they come up with that? Without warning, she grasped onto the minds of all the birds in the area and sent them down at her opponents. Immediately, the men were swarmed by were swarmed by every creature she could pull to the area. Rats, birds, cats, even a few dogs came out of the alleys and attacked. Within seconds, the men they were on the ground, found dead, or writhing in pain. Move, Amora motioned toward the group of Fomori. Get out to the Citadel. Only the most trusted are in there. You'll be safe. The Fomori glanced around at each other, then ran off toward the main fortress. Narrowing her eyes, Amora slipped into the umbrella and then extended her mind again out, grasping onto the Mai, and spreading her gaze throughout the city. As soon as she saw what was happening, she cursed. Men wearing an antlered badge on their chests as were rushing through the streets, fighting with those wearing the moon and the sigil. Those wearing and the sigil. It's soldiers or Fomori. It's a rebellion, she realized. And that's the end.
All that I heard was feminine and busty. Apologies. But, I mean, I am furiously typing away over here right now.
That's fine. You're in a bit of a time crunch.
Yep. Unfortunately.
So, I hate dissidents. I think we must destroy Fiat in order to protect it.
Probably, yes. You're good for Morbid. It's the only way to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully these rebels will all get killed and will scream in the pits of hell, being tormented by Mythicar's interest rates. Also, Fomori, that rings a bell.
Yeah, it's appropriated Celtic mythology. I might need to change it.
Yeah, we learned about those in school.
I learned about it from the So You Want to Be a Wizard series.
Oh, well, I learned it from a book called Irish Sagas and Folktales or something like that. And they had a leader named Baelor who had one eye in the middle of his forehead. And in lieu of the long arm, defeated the Fomorians by casting a spear into the eye of Baelor.
Yeah, there was a joke that you had to open his eye and specifically his baleful eye.
Yeah.
In order to cast it through and somewhat ending and everything that his gaze cast itself upon was burned, or at the very least severely burned by the fury of his gaze or something like that. That's at least the
Sounds about right. Interesting.
yeah.
We'll cut out for a bit, I think.
No, I was just pausing. I thought you had a thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what do you think of this new development that there's people who aren't terribly satisfied with Mithricard's benefit service?
Well, like I told you, I think they all ought to be killed.
Okay. So who do you think is the person behind it? Do you think this Nicholas is behind this?
I have no idea
Okay.
because I don't know who the people are apart from Amora, Kamul, Kurufir, I think it was, and there was someone else too. I think
Arterazon.
maybe.
Also, the choice of the name Nicholas is very deliberate. I think it's going to be rather amusing when he shows up. I'll be very intrigued to. I might even just read the chapter where it's revealed what exactly is going on next time.
Don't tell me he's Santa Claus.
You're not far off, actually.
No spoilers. We don't want to ruin it for all the millions of people who are listening.
Well, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to say the least. All right, Whis, how we doing?
Almost. Like, I am literally only one more piece of exposition away from the completion of this chapter. It is painful. It is so fucking painful.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of it, though. Let's see, 1.5. 18 pages on docs.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna take that's a 30 to 40 minute read.
Yeah.
So I am sorry. I'm in a little bit of a time crunch.
Okay. Well, I mean, if Balerion can't go first, I'll go and just figure out a good stopping point.
I mean, I can go. I'll be eating while I talk.
This is okay.
Which might spoil the effect a bit.
This is okay. Is it going to be the serious or parody?
This one's deeply serious. I mean, yes, this is a serious one. Sorry. I needed to clarify because someone might think that was being ironic and actually a parody. No, this one's actually serious. Actually, is a serious one.
Well, I mean, at the very least, I'll have something to present next week. I mean, I'm gonna have to split this in half. So, yeah. All right. Well,
my chapter is going to be at least. I have to split my chapter at least in half.
Mm-hmm.
I tried cutting stuff, not cutting stuff exactly, but making it less wordy. So we'll see, but it's still going to be kind of long, I think. It still might be a teeny tiny bit travelogue-ish.
I see.
But I don't think we're going to get to the travelogue-y part today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose there's no point in delaying it any longer.
So which of us is the sacrificial victim?
Well, the funny thing is that the last bit of exposition that I'm writing does involve a sacrifice. So, yeah.
So you want to go next, George?
I think I'll go.
Okay.
Since I'm not going to be able to finish this up anyway. So, as a recap for the events thus far in Nature's Sacrifice, the first entry in Valerie's trilogy. Thus far, we have begun with the arrival of Valerie and her team onto the planet Obscura, where she had a bit of an altercation with the planetary guard. As they were bickering, the planetary governor came in, intervened, and invited Valerie and her team to speak with him in the command center, where they met Commander Murlock. Commander Murlock then provided the details of their mission, of the expedition they're going to undertake into the jungles to find and hunt down a creature simply called the Beast. Valerie and her team accept this assignment, though with much protest from her own team, namely her fiance Dove. Later that night, as they were setting up inside their room or winding down in their room, Valerie and Dove have a discussion where it's revealed that Valerie is the only member of her team who has yet to undergo the rebirth process, meaning she is the only member of her team that is not actually became a phoenix yet. This has been causing her much distress, as she very much would like to obtain her powers before she gets too old, as she is currently 28 years of age, currently the oldest any of the phoenixes have gotten without getting their powers. However, after much discussion, Dove has managed to calm down Valerie, and they go to sleep for the night and do absolutely nothing else. They simply discuss their battle plans for the days to come, and nothing else happens. Anyway, we pick up with the morning of the next day. The golden light of the morning sun beamed through the curtains and onto Valerie's face. Her scarlet lips curled into a smile as she laid on her back, her arms sprawled away, and her chest stretched out and open. The thin satin sheet slid across her bare skin with every expansion and contraction of her lungs, her heart beating rhythmically within her ribs. With a deep breath, Valerie rolled onto her side and pulled her knees to her chest, curling into a ball. She sucked in her lower lip as the tightness in her back faded. Finally, she rolled back and opened her eyes. Her gaze remained fixed on the ceiling above. She was enraptured in a wide and bright sense of lucidity, as though all the clouds in her mind were gone. All the grinding and stiffness of her muscle and bone had vanished. Then she saw something in her periphery. Motion. Her eyes wandered to her, somehow unbothered by the sunlight that obscured Dove's form. Her edges were blurry and hazy. It was hard to tell if the light emanated from her or the sun behind her. Regardless, Dove fitted a flowy, loose, and revealing top over herself, doing very little to hide her upper body and leaving her midriff exposed. I'm definitely going to be changing that. Valerie gawked at her before wresting control of her gaze and allowing a slight giggle. "Good morning, Dove. You seem up early. What's the occasion?" The white-haired phoenix blinked, her golden eyes darting to Valerie, and she smiled. No occasion. Just getting ready for a long day." She tilted her head. "What about you? Feeling better this morning?" Valerie exhaled and smirked. Before she could speak, her eyes wandered down to her uncovered form. The pain in her shoulders and back had disappeared. The marks on her skin had faded. There was a tingling within her, a visceral sense of vitality. Her mind processed the emotion, the sense of satisfaction, of being content with her own body, until she found it. Pride. She looked back at Dove, and the worries and stress seemed to melt away. Her cheeks warmed, and the fuzziness persisted as she smiled back. "I feel rejuvenated, restored. It must be one of the many perks of having you." Dove blushed, her head sinking into her shoulders. That's great. I try my best. Dove's Valerie scoffed. Then her eyes wandered to Dove's choice of clothes, giving it a second pass. It wasn't their usual uniform. Instead, she seemed to be wearing more a casual set of clothes. A white blouse with yellow sunny ornamentation and a flowy skirt of similar design. Valerie scowled, the fuzziness giving way to a fluttering anxiety. Wait, why are you dressed like that? Where are you going? Dove blinked, her eyes awkwardly darting away. Oh, some traders are coming into town. Sheila thought we should go check it out before the big mission. Valerie's expression soured, and a piercing sensation pressed against her temples as her face contorted into a snarl. You want to go shopping? And on the day before our deployment? Dove's face paled, and she hung her head. Well, well, you make it sound worse than it is, Valerie cut her off, her head spinning. Tomorrow morning, we have arguably our most dangerous mission yet, and you want to go shopping? We should be planning. We need to focus on the mission, collect data, intelligence, anything we can find to kill this thing. Dove's lower lip curled out, her eyes glistening as she folded her arms in an almost offensive posture. Well, that's the whole reason we're going out. Sheila thought we should ask them about this thing, see what they know, and, it couldn't hurt. Valerie's gaze sharpened into an inquisitive glare. Sheila thought. This was her idea, wasn't it? Look, Dove peeped, regaining Valerie's attention. These guys are traders, hunters, archaeologists. They probably know the jungles better than the troops stationed here. They might even be more knowledgeable about the wildlife here, too. And as team leader, I think you should come along. Valerie's expression sharpened, her body tensed. I can't. I have far more pressing and important things to... Like what? Dove snapped, disgusted. Staying in your room all day and moping? Valerie's eyes shot open, her thoughts going blank. The vicious look melted away from Dove's face, replaced instead with an empty, melancholic stare. Her arms fell to her side, her breath light and rapid. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Valerie gave her a stern look, her gaze returning to her her gaze returning to her meek, enfeebled flesh and blood body. Forget it, she ordered, mortified. You're right. I ought to be out there with the rest of the team instead of isolating myself. She glanced up at Dove, seeing her golden eyes brimming. It's for the best, Valerie concluded, throwing the sheets off herself and getting dressed. The sky was clear, the sun barraging the world beneath in a relentless bombardment of heat, light, and radiation. The air was a sauna with a thick fog rolling through a distant forest, the warmth wrapping around Valerie's olive skin like a blanket and leaving her in a constant haze. Despite the custom-tailored garb she wore, a set of red-accented black clothes had left her abdomen, arms, and most of her upper body bare, it had no bearing on the excessive humidity. Sweat streaked down her face, threatening to slip into her eyes, and she could feel parts of her garments sticking to her skin. She felt a bounce with every step, a tapping against the flat of her chest. The necklace Dove had gifted her, the golden sanguinist gem. Yet, despite the discomfort and irritation, Valerie trudged forward with a fixed determination and a slight growl crawling up her throat. Endure it, she instructed herself. We'll go along with Sheila's worthless plan, and, optimistically, we should still have a few hours left in the day to be productive. Valerie gave a sideways glance at her fiancé, and the sharp, harsh glare began to soften. Dove's face had already reddened slightly, her wide-brimmed hat seeming to have done little to cool her. Even in her light, thin single layer of clothing, she was already drenched in sweat, the fabric sticking to her ebony skin and becoming translucent. Valerie averted her gaze and stuffed her hands into her pockets, realizing then that too much of Dove was showing. Her eyes darted around, scanning the expressions of the various people around them as they crossed the courtyard, a shot of concern firing in her brain. Valerie's throat began to clog, her heart wrenching the second she saw some of the soldiers staring at them. She swallowed and whispered, "Love?" The white-haired phoenix perked up, a beaming smile emerging. "Yes, Vals?" Valerie glared at the soldiers as they passed by. "You can go back inside. I'll meet up with Sheila and take it from there." Dove raised an eyebrow, her jaw slacking. "What? Why? I know it's hot and all, but I'm a phoenix. We're meant to handle this sort of thing." Valerie's cheeks reddened, keeping her tone hushed. "It's not the heat I'm worried about. It's that you're showing through." Dove blinked, her eyes glancing down at herself, and she scoffed. "So what? Let them think what they want. Won't matter once we bring back the head of that monster, yeah?" Valerie's expression sank, peering into Dove's golden, hopeful eyes. She smirked and nodded. "Oi!" A loud, audacious voice rose from the chatter of the crowded courtyard. Slipping between the tide of dull and muted colors were two vibrant and lively figures, Sheila and Sunny. Valerie's eyes widened upon seeing them. A phoenix's internal body temperature is often twice that of a normal human, giving them an inherent immunity to most diseases before their enhanced immune system is factored in, and allowing them to survive in Arctic environments with virtually no insulation. In humid and tropical climates, such things are more accessory than necessity. Thus, Valerie shouldn't have been surprised to see Sheila wearing only a small white band across her chest and a heavily cropped pair of shorts, while Sunny was wearing a thin orange bikini top and a red sunskirt. A snap. Valerie shook her head, seeing Sheila's hand waving in her face. "Fowls, you there?" Valerie scowled at the red-haired phoenix, a smug look plastered over her vanilla face. Dove leaned in to whisper in Sheila's ear, though Valerie could still hear her. "She's in a bit of a mood this morning. Try not to annoy her too much." Sheila chuckled. "Right. Forgot we used to get those. Hopefully those cramps aren't getting you too hard, eh, Vals?" Incensed, Valerie snapped with a half growl. "I am not experiencing any cramps." Sunny's eyes shot open, her head sinking into her shoulders while Sheila kept grinning. The red-haired daughter of the Dove kept her hands on her hips, and her chest puffed. "Ah, so the usual gloominess from our fierce leader. Got it." Valerie's brows pulled together in a pointed glare. "The correct word you would be looking for is annoyance. Annoyance stemming from your lack of maturity in dire matters such as our mission, and annoyance from your laid-back attitude." Sheila rolled her eyes and muttered, Yeah, 'cause being a stiff about everything's so much better." Dove sighed and grumbled to herself. Not this shit again." Valerie stepped forward, bullishly ignoring Dove's disapproving frown. "At least a stiff would know better than to—" Valerie paused, glancing between her teammates and performing a head count. Her glare turned inquisitorial. "Wait a second. Where's Miriam?" "Where do you think?" Sheila snarked, Up in her room, acting like a recluse. Sunny leaned in, her voice chirping just loud enough to be heard over the crowd's murmurs. Do you think she'll be all right? She's been spending a lot of time alone recently. Dove sighed and nodded. She'll be fine, Sunny. She's just more introverted than others. Valerie blinked and sulked. Her gaze darted back to Sheila, and the gears in her head turned.
5-minute warning, real quick.
Huh?
5-minute warning. It's been almost
All right.
4 minutes.
Annoyance. Perhaps a pang of shame struck at Valerie's heart, reflecting on the constant altercations between herself and the red-haired phoenix. She straightened out and recomposed herself. In any case, it will do us no good to dwell on her whereabouts. Sheila and the others turned their attention to her, almost struck by her sudden shift in her tone. You said you wanted to explore this traitor's bazaar. Is that correct, Sheila? The red-haired phoenix nodded. Yes, ma'am. All right. And where would you have us meet after? Sheila's head sank into her shoulders, her eyes frantically darting around. Well, funny you should ask that. I was thinking we could discuss it over for lunch. Maybe dinner? Valerie nodded. Very well. Then that is our plan. Dove and I will go together, and you and Sunny may do as you wish. Good? Sheila blinked, befuddled. Sure. Sounds like a plan. A smirk crept across Valerie's face. Good. Dismissed. She instructed, and, on her word, Sheila and Sunny turned and wandered down one of the multiple aisles that tents formed. Well, I'm going to go and stop over there. Got a random phone call. I'm going to need to take care of that.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
So anyway, apologies for that. That was kind of butchered. I'll go and just say that right away. I mean, circumstances.
Yeah, what can you do?
So anyway, I suppose I'll just go and get right on to the first few questions. What were your thoughts on the interactions over within the first half of this chapter, or is the first section?
I thought they were good. I was a little bit. I was like, I think you did a good job of setting the stage of like it's a jungle environment. That they're going on this hunt of this creature that's been doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the characters bounce well off of each other. There was a few things I was a little bit hazy on, like who was who, but some of that could be just a length of time in between in submissions.
Yeah, I mean, it also could just be my delivery.
Yeah.
And also the fact that I did not rehearse this before coming on. All right. Well, what do we think of the character interactions? Like, what are we getting of the characters? Like, what are we understanding about them over here?
I get the sense that most of them are fairly feisty toward each other. They kind of seem a little bit similar with only slight variations. I don't know if I could give a real summary of each character. I think Valerie has the most personality, but she's kind of the feisty one in the middle of a crowd of feisty ones.
Well, she seems a bit more mature and serious about it than the others.
Maybe I'm.
That is very deliberate, by the way.
Okay.
She is literally older than the rest of her team, so.
Yeah, the rest seem like they might be in a university, they might be in high school or something. Well, let's just say university to keep it,
I mean, they probably are university age, or
Yeah.
well past that. They're all young adults.
Yeah, they come off as rather young.
Hmm. So, I'm assuming that Sheila's characterization is quite obvious.
I think she's one of the feisty. She's fairly feisty, I think. I don't really remember much of Sheila.
My single word characterization my single sentence characterization of her is that she's that gal. She's that guy.
She's that guy as a female. She's a
Yes.
Mm.
She's that guy in the sense that she's the one who makes unhinged sort of jokes in the remarks at other people's expense. In case you didn't pick up, Sheila was implying that Valerie's moodiness was due to her being on her period.
Oh yeah, I missed that. Yeah, I missed that.
Like, that's the kind of unhinged we're talking about.
Mm.
Yeah, she might be a little immature too.
Yeah. She's basically the asshole of the group.
Yeah.
And admittedly, Dove and Sunny are a little hard to distinguish because both of them are more of the traditional feminine type. But, you know, this chapter, its purpose is to serve as a opportunity for me to flesh out the characters some more. We haven't yet gotten to that bit, but there are just bits of interactions over here, particularly for Sheila and Sunny, that really highlights their personality traits some more. And you'll see in the next time I present exactly what I'm talking about, because we literally haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the descriptions are still a little bit more elaborate than they need to be of people's like body language or whatever. It's a little bit more elaborate than it needs to be. Maybe a little bit of trimming.
Yeah.
Also, at one point you've got inquisitive, where I think you might mean inquisitorial or something like that.
Yeah. Grammarly didn't like me using the word inquisitorial, and it auto-corrected to inquisitive.
Oh, don't you love it when machines know more about it than you do?
You can
Don't
always
you love
use.
it when machines screw it up despite them be supposed to know more than you?
You could also use prosecutorial.
That's as different as that is. That also sounds really, really clunky.
Or severe, harsh, something like that. Not what keen, maybe.
Accusatory,
Accusatory
perhaps.
is good. Yeah, accusatory is good. Yeah, play around, but Grammarly's wrong.
Yeah.
I
only use it for things like comma placement and such, but I haven't yet taken this text and put it through Grammarly yet. Like, I use that as basically an assistant editor. This is very much the roughest of rough drafts for this chapter.
I have heard that there are some publishers that are monitoring for any kind of AI traces, and in schools at least, Grammarly is flagged as AI use. And publishers right now are being very careful about, like, if you want to get this traditionally published, I would
that's rather annoying. I've been using Grammarly for years now.
Yeah,
all the way back like halfway through the writing of the first book.
It seems
I forgot which draft though.
Yeah, it seems Grammarly is older. Seems Grammarly's been around for longer than AI has. But maybe I don't know anything about it.
It could be that they're starting to integrate AI into Grammarly. I don't know.
Yeah. Could well
That's been annoying. I'm not using AI to write my fucking story. I don't trust AI to do that for me. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I would rather that I be able to read it. I'd rather I write it out for myself. And at most, the only thing I want an AI editing software to do is be like, oh, you misspelled this word. Oh, you should probably put this comma over here. Oh, this is a run-on sentence. Like, just catch grammatical errors that I wouldn't have caught otherwise.
Yeah, like mechanics and stuff.
I
Yeah.
think the thing that they're worried about is that once the story is fed into the AI, then it will become part of the software, and then it will be it could feasibly be mass distributed.
Oh, that's gross.
I think.
Yeah.
And so publishers, at least right now, according to some authors some writers in my long distance writing group, they talk about how one of them has actually talked with other authors in the industry, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of a mess right now. And even like Grammarly is fairly safe, but there was a kid that got flagged for using AI on a paper, and all she used was Grammarly. According to her, she might have been lying, but that was just something I heard. I could be incorrect, but
always that one asshole has to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Well, anyway, yeah,
I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm saying that that's possible. That's a pitfall that people are running into these days.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not going to be asking how what anybody thinks of this in terms of how it fits into the plot, because, admittedly, this chapter basically just serves for me to foreshadow and set up things that are going to happen in the story, and also supposed to give you some insight into the character's mindsets and so on and so forth. It's not really meant to push the plot forward. It's more just so that way, just to give the character some breathing room before the plot really kicks off. Because my concern is that with the way that this plot goes, we might not get a whole lot of time to actually flesh out the characters. Also, I really, really want to build up investment in these characters early on, particularly in Sheila, in Sunny, because, they're not directly related to the protagonist in any way. At least they're not going to mean as much to the protagonist and therefore the audience as much as Dove is going to be. Because Dove is basically Valerie's emotional support.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, I suppose that the prose could use some work.
Well, prose always needs work.
Yeah, we all knew that though, because again,
not just you, but generally.
Draft.
Not just you, but generally.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
Speaking of prose, let's see if my edits to this chapter have. This is chapter 3. Let's see if my edits have.
Welcome, Dodex. You're late.
Yeah, kind of are, but nice to see you.
You missed my reading, Dodex.
Yeah, you're in trouble for that, I'm afraid.
So disappointed. Anyway, I'll be back. I'm going to use the restroom and grab some water.
Okay. So I better grab. Speaking of water, I have water right here. Okay. Chapter 3, then. The Summons. It was not long after their 12th birthdays that Margaret and Barama were summoned to present themselves to Exalted. Margaret's parents had long discussions about how to respond without selling their daughter into lust slavery on the one hand, or getting themselves and their people killed on the other. Even Gadawada's daughter, Yaku, is too young, protested Markaruna one evening. The two were in their chambers in the third tower, where the Count paced around the room while his wife embroidered a tapestry on the virtue of chastity. I dare not refuse the summons altogether, said Pylamore, and you must see the court for what it is, if she is to rule one day. Maybe you can mute yourself while you're typing. Thank you. She must see what? Gasped the Countess, her Polismuan accent growing stronger in her revulsion. She threw up her hands. The Barusa, Pylamore? Her husband raised a hand for calm. The summons doesn't explicitly require more than that Margaret be introduced to the Emperor. I'll take her to court, introduce her, and then go home. I shan't offer her to the Barusa. It's chancy, but that seems the least bad. You'll be at exalted mercy, and so will she. I think Governor Baruna will protect us. He hates me, of course, but he also wants Margaret for himself. Markaruna didn't find this very consoling, but bowed her head nonetheless. Gadawada and Imuni were of like mind with respect to Barama, if they were not indeed even more repelled by Exalted's overtures. I'll dress him up in the manliest clothes we have and give him a false goatee, said Count Gadawada. Perhaps that will stave off Exalted's attentions. I doubt it, said Imuni darkly. I'll see if I can enlist him in the governor's guard. At 12? Better that than the shame of the Barusa. As for Margaret and Barama, they had no wish to go to court at all. Everything they had heard about it had put them off. Long ago, the ancestors of the Sandaranians had migrated eastward to the Isthmus of Sandaran, establishing their chief seat in the city of Tena on the Isle of Ndugala. The kings of Tena had been converted to the truth and the way, and had sent missionaries to the various Mindrite kingdoms, including Ikhalamu. Sandaran had then not been too different from these kingdoms, relatively primitive, perhaps, but also relatively free. This changed when it came under Chuggan domination, a domination that endured for centuries. The Chuggan governors had eventually intermarried with the descendants of the Sandaranian kings and had acquired some local pride, and when the Chuggan Empire weakened, the governors had thrown off its yoke and founded an empire of their own, conquering the lands of the Mindarites. Yet the court had remained half Chuggan in character, and alien in its customs to the rest of the Uchandraist world. The institution of the Barusa was only the most piquant of these differences. The emperors of Sandaran had ordained that every child born into nobility must be listed in the imperial registry and be introduced to the emperor in the 12th year. This introduction had acquired a tinge of the less than wholesome, especially under Ekwekwe IV, whose unhealthy appetites were notorious. It was therefore an obligation that Pylamar and Gadawada would rather have done without. Other lords might be happy to sell their children's honor for the imperial favor, but these two were of stronger stuff, and the Chugganized customs of Tena had not yet wholly won out on the Isle of Oro. So they were determined to protect their children from the fate that had befallen so many others at Ekwekwe's hands, if they could. Yet, any resistance was fraught with peril. Margaret kept begging to be excused from visiting the court, but was told that there was no help for it. Barama's friends say the emperor is even worse than Ganawad the Mad, she said. What do you know of Ganawad the Mad? Asked Pylamar a little sharply. Ganawad the Mad's lifestyle was not considered a fit subject for girls to read about, or even boys. Only that he went mad after catching the queen kissing another man, and married several women, and stuff. Margaret squirmed. Then he decided he was a god and began eating people. He was really gross. I shouldn't have mentioned him. Ladies probably aren't even meant to know that he existed. Yes, well, we'll have to check your reading to make sure that it's appropriate. Meanwhile, I fear that the Emperor must be obeyed. She felt a knot forming in her stomach, but bowed her head. Our ancestors fought the Chuggins. I suppose I can stand a little sea voyage. But it wasn't a little sea voyage. Margaret had left the nursery 3 years ago, and at times behaved what she thought was very adult, refusing to play the old games with her sister Audrey. But now that she was going to leave for court or worse, growing up no longer seemed quite so, don't do that please, wonderful. This was especially true during the difficult last few months before their departure. She went on long walks, bidding farewell to the crepe myrtles and ducks and fin rats, and everything she had known. She played the customary games with her commoner friends, or made puppet plays with Audrey, or listened to old peasant women tell tales about Erashi, the stick, whom the rain spear had saved from the fire demons. She also spent much of the day riding Starlight, or just feeding and grooming her. The mare seemed to realize something was off and became unusually skittish. Just a little edit, sorry. There. The mare seemed to realize something was off and became unusually skittish. The nights she spent snuggling with her pet Morai Shu, who seemed to sense Margaret's anxiety and uttered consoling purring sounds. As her departure grew nearer and keener, Margaret spent long hours with Audrey and her mother, remembering her childhood, how her mother would kiss them in the Kalaman manners with the eyelashes when she put them to bed, how she and Audrey embroidered prayer cloths to place in the temple on Heaven Day, how on the equinoxes and solstices they sewed clothes for the Palham, or guardian spirits, adorned with flowers in spring, fruit in summer, leaves in autumn, and snowflakes in winter. How they would visit Anathos every New Year's, and people would carry branches and colored candles in procession. Finally, the day dawned. Margaret gave her governess, Varane, a farewell hug, only to be mildly reprimanded that it was beneath her dignity. I hate dignity, she didn't say. The last conversation with Audrey and their mother was a comfort, but very hard. I don't think I can stand it, she said, leaving in Halamu to see that awful thingy. You must both be brave, said Makaruna. You will have to endure worse, perhaps, partings when you're older. Margaret dried her tears. I will be brave. But will it be brief? She wondered. What if the Emperor keeps me there? Audrey did her best to follow her elder sister's example. I'll take care of Morai Shu, but you must tell us all about it when you get back. Oh dear, that voice is horrible. I will. Unless it's too horrible, she thought. I'll write your letters during the trip. That will make it seem as if you're not so far. Her father came to take her away. It is time to board. Make your farewells to your mother and your sister. They kissed each other with the eyelashes, and Margaret followed her father onto the comical barge, fighting back tears. I must not weep. Paila Fershen, the saber-toothed tiger of justice, was a magnificent blue and green vessel with the head of a saber-toothed tiger surmounted by the ninefold star of the truth. But Margaret could get no joy of it. As the barge... Sorry, another edit. As the barge floated down the... As the barge floated down the Dathlon to the nearby town of Anathos, she wondered, and then? When we leave Anathos, what then? Let's see. In the evening, she received a message summoning her to Pylamar's cabin. We must be very careful, he warned her. At home we may speak more freely, but the world outside is dangerous, and the court doubly and trebly so. Guard your tongue, and say nothing but good of the emperor and the government. Say as little as possible to strangers, especially if the strangers have power. Do not assume that your noble birth will protect you. Nobles who displease the emperor are put to death every year. Yes, father, she said meekly. I shan't say anything stupid at court. Don't say anything stupid on the way to court either. Make me proud. I will. Good. Let us go to supper. And I think that's all for that particular section. I don't know if there's time for another section.
I do have to get going.
Yeah, then there isn't time. There isn't time for the other section then.
I think that this works really well. I like the political situation that you've illustrated there. I like the setup of tension that's been established.
Oh, good. I actually succeeded in doing that. Good. That's rather what one hoped.
Did you have any particular points of feedback that you were interested in asking about?
Well, I just wanted to see if it was working and if the bits where I'm describing her being nostalgic and all that, if those are good or if they drag. I tried to.
I think some more interiority would help. I think that more character emotions would probably be helpful. Those are kind of my main points of feedback, because it feels very much like it's kind of outside looking in, kind of.
Yeah,
But that might be the style that you're going for. In which case, I think you're doing that pretty well.
I'm going in and out between. The idea is to go in and out, because sometimes, like, I want to pass over something quickly to move on to the next bit, but I don't want to cut it out altogether. I do want to go over quickly. So sometimes I'm viewing things more from the outside as a panoramic way, and other times I'm trying for more interiority.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I apologize. I wasn't exactly as useful as I could have been this session, but there's definitely some interesting world building going on over there.
Yeah, I liked how you talked about the Chuggins and the.
I liked that there's just a story that this little girl wasn't supposed to know about, that she just knows about.
Yeah, she probably was snuck into the library or something, or maybe there was something in the study that didn't get vetted properly. Or maybe she snuck. Yeah, maybe she slipped into the grown-up section one bright day and read it. I don't really know, but it doesn't seem impulsible.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Well, I do have to get going. I've got some stuff to pick up, so I will have to see you guys later.
Older.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Bye.
thanks for the show done. Take care, everybody.
Yeah,
See ya.
thank you. I guess.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't. Sorry I have to cut this short. I wish I could stay longer, but appointments and such like. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
See ya.
Have a
Bye.
riot.